Yes.
Incredible. In fact, just as I mention it, I'm feeling their presence again. So what she's sharing is something that you can't normally get from the various channels and so on. She's talking about her personal experience in those different places, in those different times. So we are very honored to be connected with Viviane. So really listen to that, what she's sharing. Because
Also, super, super resonate with that, Preet. And also just want to say, someone typed in the chat, we can feel it from her. And I'm like, yes, the energy is getting so strong around you, Viviane. You were speaking just now, and I was like, whoa. So sometimes when you speak, because you're speaking from this galactic perspective where you can remember things that many of us humans have forgotten, like Graham Hancock says, humanity is a species with amnesia. We don't remember our advanced civilization past. So it is quite extraordinary to be reminded of it. So thank you again for being here.
And also, if you missed the last experience, the last thing that we did about our whole Egypt trip, go back, check out the experience that happened that Debra mentioned in the pause, to see and experience the incredible energies of that activation that was brought in by this large group of people. But Viviane was the one that anchored those new energies to reactivate the Sphinx and later on the various sites around Egypt.
Thank you so much, both of you. Always a pleasure and very honored to be here. And Prageet, thank you for what you shared about who I am. And it's true. And I know you feel it too, Jules. And I see you blossoming more and more. It's really incredible to watch. And you're right. And what you mentioned, Prageet, is very important because what we share, it really is from an Arcturian being perspective, experiencing aspect of humanity, yes, in this form, yes, but nonetheless, I still who I am, and it's really going to convey into what we share in terms of frequency, presence, because oftentimes there's many speaking to you as one voice, and that's what we do. So yeah, thank you so much. I'm very honored.
So we can move on to the next section. Scott, can you make me co-host as well so that I can share some things?
I made you co-host 10 minutes ago.
Okay. And what I want to share first is our incredible tour guide, because he was very instrumental in us learning a lot of things that we knew on a spiritual level, but was documented in the hieroglyphics that was actually shown. Our guide, Mohammed of Saboteurs, he gave a clear interpretation of hieroglyphics. He told us about where the story of Atlantis was shown in the hieroglyphics. He showed us where the use of advanced technology was shown in the hieroglyphics, and also a lot of evidence of strong connection with the alignment and galactic interdimensional beings. So do you want to share a little bit about Mohammed and what you experienced with him before we share some incredible videos of him?
The first thing is Mohammed is a scholar. He, like you say, he comes from the academic background, and then he got interested in spiritual things, and he started to see what the hieroglyphs were really saying. And to me, it was mind-blowing, because I've always heard that the Egyptians were talking about the afterlife, but what Muhammad told us is every time the hieroglyphs talk about other dimensions, they just translate it as afterlife. And there's like actually many, many, many different hieroglyphs with very different meanings. And so there are messages that have yet to be decoded. That's really what I walked away with.
Yeah, Muhammad is a very different tour guide, and his whole attitude comes from that spiritual dimension that Jules talks about. And it was fascinating, some of the things that he pointed out, and I think Debra has a couple of photos in a little bit, but he's a beautiful guy, and if we go back again, we'll absolutely be working with Mohammed.
Yeah, so I'd like to share some videos now. We're really blessed in this show to have a lot of videos to share with you. There was a lot of documentation that happened, and you're going to see them in this show today. So we'd like to show what Mohammed told us about the Atlantean Wall.
This is what they call it, the Atlantean Wall, but it doesn't say Atlantis, to be honest with you. It doesn't say Atlantis, but it talks about a civilization, and they received a snake. They were destroyed by a snake from the sky called Sapti. I think the snake here is a representation or a metaphor of a giant wave of destructive energy, okay? And Sapti destroyed this nation. And the story talks about some survivors, okay? That is what we managed to get from the story and the code. But they explain that this is Atlantis. So if that was truly Atlantis, so it means that Atlantis was here in ancient Egypt, one of the civilizations of ancient Egypt before 10,500 BC. And I think this is the date of Sapti, the one they talk about. 10,000, that the disaster was 10,500 BC. What happened? That solar effect. And I recommend you to get that book, Earth Under Fire. Dr. Paul Lavalier. Part of the story talks about the seafaring people. And this what caused some confusion that Atlantis maybe is outside Egypt because it must be at the Atlantic Ocean. I don't agree with this also. I think that the seafaring people was in Egypt also because all Earth was covered with water during the end of the last ice age, 907,000 BC. So it makes sense that there was flood everywhere, Europe, Africa, Asia, North and South America.
Great, thank you. And there was another clip we're going to share with you because what Mohammed shared with us ongoing is like there's so many monoliths and big structures that there's no way we can even build them or deal with them at this point. And it really points to advanced technology that they have that we don't even have now. And Mohammed does show in the hieroglyphics all kinds of advanced technology. So in this video that you're going to show next, he talks about how they show that the Egyptians actually did genetic manipulation and potentially cloning. So this is really fascinating.
The symbol is purification, okay? And the word purification, it's not necessarily to be the same word. It could be adding liquid to enhance abilities, okay? To change the chemical reaction. And then Amun men. So Amun men, Amun men, and the same one king. So it is one figure for the king, okay? This is lettuce. Lettuce is a plant or green leaves. Also, it is very good for the fertility or the quality of semen. So you can tell your husbands or your friend, this is good for the quality of semen. Okay, this is the same symbol, purification. And they add some kind of cups, we are not sure what it is. And then Amun only. Here, Amun men, and the king is holding two things. With his right arm or hand holding a jar, dropping also either liquid or some kind of energy. The other hand, he is holding an incense burner. So this is like a smoke. And again, not only using this for purification, but they are, my guessing, enhancing the abilities of the semen or changing the identity of the semen. This is like genetic modifications, okay? And one king, right? Now we come to the physical formation, but there are two now, not just one. The same king, as if this is all to clone number two. And it happened in front of the physical form after the process was finished. Okay? So this is the same person, by the way. They are not two different persons. These two people is the same person here and there. So I call this section is the cloning scene. They cloned either this one or this one, but I think this is the cloned one because he is giving him the key of life. So he's still at that moment before life. He's seeding life through his nose, but it is not the nose. This is the direction to the pineal gland. Okay?
Yeah, amazing. There were so many times that he captured various things on the hieroglyphics, and we're going to continue to document and show that to you.
So, Debra, a question from the audience, that this temple and the one before in the video, what were those two temples?
I think it was Edifu, like they mentioned, yes.
Edford, cool.
And now we're going to go to Luxor Temple, which is one of the most beautiful and captivating temples in Egypt. It's in Luxor, close to Karnak. There was actually a road that connected the Temple of Karnak to Luxor. And unlike other temples in Luxor, it was not dedicated to a specific god, but it was held for when the pharaohs got crowned. There was high ceremony there. They held court. And we found out so many things about Luxor from Muhammad and our journey there. So we're going to be able to see a video on that now.
Stone, we must understand that we talk about chemical recipe. We talk about chemical substance. When we say limestone or sandstone, these are perfect materials to absorb negative energy. When we talk about granite, this is great material to deal with electromagnetic field and recharge the body. This is to absorb your negative energy, to clear your body from the negative energy. And then when you cross through granite gate, your battery is going to be empty, ready to be recharged with the new positive energy.
Debra, you're muted again.
I'd like to share with you a few more amazing photos of the Luxor Temple because it was so magnificent. Here are some of the columns that are just so huge, and we don't even have the technology to create this today. Here, Mohammed is sharing with us again the amazing statues that were there, and he explained the higher forms of technology that were used in the hieroglyphics to create these huge temple structures and statues. He also made reference to imply that they had anti-gravity technology. And this was the Ark. That was incredible. Viviane has a bit to share about that when she comes on shortly, and it communicated a lot about the Egyptian mysteries. And these guardians were at the temple at very special places all the time. They were just beautiful. And this was their spiritual mission to guard the temples. So one more video I'd like to share, which Mohammed talks even more about the advanced technology. And so Scott, can you play that next video?
My friend Christopher Dunn, he's an engineer, and he is talking about ancient technologies. He wrote 2 books. I recommend you to read them. Giza Power Plant, The Great Pyramid, Giza Power Plant, and the second book is Ancient Technologies, Lost Technologies of Ancient Egypt. Okay, he took great picture to the head, because one day the head was on the ground before restoring the statue, and he used his computer. He cut the face into perfect 2 sides. He deleted the right side and then copied the left and pasted the left and then flipped the left to give him the same face again. That is not right. Why? Even if you do this to your own face, it is not symmetrical. So anything done by hand is not symmetrical. Anything done by regular tool, regular technology with this size, with this hardness, also cannot be symmetrical. So to be symmetrical, we need super high technology, because we are dealing with granodiorite, very hard material. So that was his beginning to understand that there was ancient technologies. Then he had a crazy idea to see if the flower of life will fit the features of the face. And he found, yes, that the flower of life is matching the forehead, the eyes, the nose, the chin, okay? So everything in ancient, in pre-Diluvian Egypt was happening by high technology, so superior technology.
Great, thank you. And now I'd like to welcome Brigitte, Viviane, and Julianne back to give some commentary on the experience of Luxor.
Well, I think Viviane can give us some really great explanations about the Ark, but I'd just like to point out it was on a long, straight causeway, and either side there were dozens of statues. It was incredible. And the one thing that I noticed throughout the whole experience, as we can see from behind you, the incredible amount of hieroglyphics. And it blew my mind. Everywhere we went, the walls are packed with hieroglyphics. The time and the energy taken to document all these things is absolutely amazing. So Viviane, tell us about the Ark.
And thank you, Brigitte. I always like your wonderful curiosity. It's delightful to see. The Temple of Luxor, for me personally, has been one of the most impactful one. The moment we set foot on at the temple, I immediately had a clear remembrance of when we were on the planet, assisting to bring in the next level of technology and being able to help the new civilization and building to restabilize. And so to us, and it's also in ancient Egypt language, the Temple of Luxor is remembered as the southern sanctuary, and it was really meant to be a sanctuary. And it is later on in Egypt history known as a temple of worship. But more than that, it was a sacred temple where a lot of those technology or genetic memory form or encoded genetic material would be returned to ancient Egypt, especially in the temple of Luxor, or again known as the Southern Sanctuary. And when I saw this immense sculpture or representation of the Ark, I knew right away that they were looking at an aspect of the Ark of the Covenant, as it is known to this planet. To us, the Ark, it's a series of crystalline transmission that is encoded with thought form, very specific thought form and memory encoding. And all of these transmission, or these crystalline transmission, was returned back to the earth as a form of an ark, as a symbology. And if you look at, like you mentioned, Pragit, all of the symbols on each side, that's because there were many encoding, and also there was also many guardians and beings who were part of this project. It just so happened that the Octurns, we are part of the guardians who were responsible for the arc. So when I was there and looking at this immense, like you said, and right in the hallway, right open field, looking at it is I remembering where we were transmitting these crystalline encoding return to the blue planet or the Earth, Mother Terra, and how it was brought in an aspect of what the Luxor temple represent. And if you look at the structures, you know, you can tell there's a secret, almost like a geometric configuration pattern to it that is very conducive in terms of the energy of what this temple was really about. It was designed to amplify these encoding. So I love the asymmetrical form throughout the entire temple. And I feel like Luxor, as I said, for me personally, was the strongest one, besides the Sphinx, of course, for other reasons. But it speaks there, it tells you the story. This is what it's so many, you know, hieroglyph or symbology that is decoded, whether a wall talking on anti-gravity or a wall on the receptacle as genetic material from a different, either other planets, races, other species that was coming back. Because if you look at the Earth in her original inception, the Earth is an ark. It is an ark for multitude of genetic biological imprint that comes from everywhere in multi places. So the Temple of Luxor was designed this way, but it was turned into more of a religion temple later on, a place to bring and worship the gods. But that was part of the misconception, because we're not gods at all. We're just simply more advanced being, and we brought these encoding in the form of an ark for the purpose for safekeeping. And some of them comes from the early inception of your solar system, where other planets were at different stages of evolution and things happen, or there was a disbalance in their ecosystem and the planet shifted. So we always extract sample of other genetic imprint of the biological imprint, and we bring it back in the form of encoding. So that became for me very active, very potent when I saw this. And then what happened is that I opened my holographic field as I talk about it, and I could remember and see those transmissions coming back to the blue planet and how it was carefully scripted and encoded in a way that it was be preserved. So that was, for me, incredible to physically be on site and remembering at a very ancient intergalactic history the importance of what the arc in time aspect of these arcs will be not necessarily revealed, but it will become more reawakened, and also going to activate the genetic template of the body template of the human, plus also on the DNA and, you know, in your own structures. But for now, we have to be mindful because we're still in that dark lights polarity field. So until it stabilizes, then we'll be able to start to maybe bring back aspect of the arc. And I know that part of my role is from our told a long time ago, I'm a guardian for the arc. So this is why it was very potent for me to be at that temple, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I remember, Viviane, you told me that the Ark of the Covenant essentially has this seed information to kickstart and like kickstart other phases of evolution for planets, and it blew my mind. I've never heard that before. And it's like ever since I was a kid, when I hear about the Ark of the Covenant, and for so many of us, like this is why these are like the things of legend, is because they carry some kind of like faint niggle of remembrance for us of like, this is something important.
Absolutely, and you're absolutely right on. And so, of course, there's a lot of symbology and metaphor that your world carry. So of course, an arc is not necessarily a physical arc that was brought in ways. But I know that the way we carry or transmit more effectively thought form encoding, we're going to utilize those crystal transmission. And hink, hink, what is the Atlantean we're using a lot? Crystalline technology. See how it intertwined? Reggie, did you want to say something? Go ahead.
No, I just said that's beautiful.
Oh, thank you. You're on mute, Debra.
Is there any more that you can share about the advanced technology that was revealed? Because that was a significant part.
Well, and thank you for asking, Debra. So if you look at just the temple itself, like Mohammed mentioned through this other author about the technology, for us here today, we're rediscovering the majestic of this sculpture and immense design and temple. But you have to think about that back then or at that time, technology to sound vibration, levitation, anti-gravitational technology of consciousness, I would say, even through your thought form, you can really be in tune with the molecular structures of these blocks and redefine the structures and build something magnificent was very natural as verbal communication is to you today. So we are rediscovering these so-called higher abilities that is also a reflective into who you are and who you're discovering yourself through these abilities. If we can pilot very complex, immense starship in the multiverse from one point to the next, that's because building structure becomes available. And so if you think about it, if you look at these, whether the Andromedans, the Arcturians, and they're really enlightened intergalactic civilization, we utilize the highest potential of our mental faculties. So when you start to utilize light and sound at a much higher frequency band, you can transmute the structure of seemingly an object. And this way you can also reform and reshape physical form into a higher manifestation, and you can really co-create something that is seemingly impossible by your comprehension and the technology and the tools that you have in this 3D field. But it's really just an invitation to remembering the potential and the abilities that you have. Get to know your mind, get to know your faculties, open the mental field, open those communicative channels that is within you. And even through the power of sound and humming, you can also affect even the vibrational feel of your walls in your house. How many times do I see my walls becoming pure interdimensional portal and they look liquid, plasma, light? They're no longer solid. So it's no difference that building giant temple. It's just we are reconnecting with those faculties, whether it's on a molecular level, whether it's shifting also the vibrational field of an object. This is something that you're going to start to relearn more. It's part of the evolutionary process that we see.
So am I hearing you saying, Viviane, that these amazing statues weren't carved by lots of craftsmen, but they were created with energy and intention?
Well, in a very, very simplified way, Pragit, we can bring it this way, but it is true that everything has a frequency field or a resonance field. So when you look into it and you start to tap into harmonization or your own harmonic field with that which you want to co-create, you will see that it opens up a lot more potential in your creation. So again, it's a rediscovery that is necessary at this stage of your conscious evolution so that you can reawaken also point of ancient memories and channels within you. So it really is interconnected.
Oh, thank you.
Of course.
Beautiful, everyone. Appreciate it. So now we're going to journey to the Temple of Abydos. Abydos was a very sacred temple and respected as an extremely holy place. Many Egyptians wanted to be buried there. And again, Muhammad continues to reveal with the hieroglyphics much spiritual information, especially multidimensional information, including portals, stargates, spacecraft, and also the temple honored Osiris. And behind it was the official Osiris temple. At that temple, Drumvalo Melchizedek discovered the flower of life that helped make it such famous sacred art. And I'll show a few pictures of that. Here is the Temple of Abydos. And it was just majestic as you walked through there. Here is some of the hieroglyphics that can be shown where it does show spacecraft and airplanes. Mohammed also showed advanced spiritual technology, including stargates, portals, and interdimensional spiritual process. And as Viviane said at the beginning, the traditional interpretation is description of the afterlife, but Mohammed impressed to us that this was advanced spiritual transfiguration and technology that the Egyptians were accomplishing in this life. And Brigitte was so happy to see the stargates shown at the Abydos temple. And so we're going to show a video that explains the stargates.
This is 3 rooms. The 2 sides of each room, you can see the symbol Stargate. So the first destroyed, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. 6 of them, it is very clear, it says Stargate. And we read, if you look carefully, when we read from this side, it says Stargate. When we read from the other side, saying Stargate. So they are trying to make it clear, okay? Stargate, not gate star, not, okay? So they change location when they change the direction of writings, okay? So as if going through is a Stargate, but not active. Why it's not active? Because we lost 4 things, or one of the 4 things. Either location, alignment, material, design. Any one of these, this is how I understand if the place is functioning or not. I managed to, after a long time, to understand how to bring back the energy to the site by keeping or putting back these, how do you call it, rules. Okay, location, alignment. Location, alignment are together. Material, limestone. What if we restore it with cement? Okay, disconnected. What if we restore it with granite? Better material? No, it must be limestone. They use limestone. If it is sandstone, if it is it must be the same material. So location, design, location, alignment, material, design. Because sometimes if it is a pillar, okay, we miss the capstone, not functioning. We miss one side, not functioning. We miss the ceiling, not functioning. So they must be the same 4 elements.
And as Mohammed shared, throughout the temple, there are special healing activation rooms and portals of spiritual transformation. Also, throughout Abydos is the documentation of the deep connection of Isis and Osiris. So we're going to share a bit more in video now as Mohammed explains.
And here is the catalyst, the portal. You see, they are carrying the portal up to the roof of the temple. Why? Because they prepare themselves to cross. So, here became different phases, different shapes. It means that you are crossing. This is to cross from dimension to another. You see, that's why here it's not one face. It's not one person. You see, you can see how many shoulders here? You are crossing now the dimensions. You are crossing from the portals. Right. So this is evidence also. we talked about the illusion of Osiris and Isis, and we said that after the death of Osiris, Isis tried to resurrect him twice. By the help of Isis, he was able to resurrect once more. And this is the chapter of the story here. How Isis here take her husband's dead body and put it here. Why she put it here? It's a portal. You see, energy everywhere. Why? Because to resurrect him once more, she needs to charge him. She needs this energy to resurrect him once more. And then Isis and Nephthys, as we said, were two birds to be able to collect the body of Osiris from everywhere. Isis turned herself to be a bird, and she was flying upon him. But he did not resurrect until she touched his organ. When she touched his organ, you see, raise it up, he became alive. So the male needs a female power to resurrect, to recreate. So that's what we are talking about, that unification between two items, male and female, positive and negative. This is very clear here. He did not resurrect until she touched this organ.
And then behind the temple of Abydos is the temple of Osiris. And here we are going down into the temple of Osiris. And we went into a special room for our meditation and activation that we performed there. And here is the flower of life that is at the Osiris temple that I mentioned. Drumvala and Melchizedek noticed and made the flower of life a very important sacred art for our times. And now I'd like to bring back Viviane, Pragit, and Julianne to discuss about the portals, the stargates, and the meditation, the temple of Osiris.
Well, what we noticed as we went around these different places, where there were actually many Stargate symbols in the various locations that we visited. And one of the interesting things, you saw there that she was pointing out a doorway and the image of the three people moving through the dimensions. And there's many different ways that these dimensional doorways are demonstrated there. Very often there's a rectangle, and above it there's like wiggly lines just to indicate the energy that's involved in these interdimensional doorways. And Viviane and I did some energy work in one of the locations where they had 7 rectangular doorways, one inside the other. And there's so many indications about other dimensions, other realities. Just one more thing about the meditation that we did at the Temple of Osiris was that we were in this room, and as soon as we started to create an energy field there, the guides wanted us to leave. They didn't want us to meditate. And we found this in many locations as we traveled to these different sacred sites. And fortunately for us, there was just a narrow doorway, and Muhammad stood in the doorway and wouldn't allow the local people to stop us until we completed the meditation. So it's interesting the reaction that we get to actually wanting to meditate, just simply meditate in these places. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Pragit. And now Julianne and Viviane.
Yeah, so we were just able to do the activation that we intended to do in the Osirian temple. Viviane, do you want to say a little bit about that?
Yes, of course, with pleasure, because something essential took place there too. So personally for me, the Temple of Abydos was the most polarized one. Well, I felt a distinct presence between the light polarity and the dark light polarity coexisting. So it was very challenging in that way. So when we went down, like the picture that Debra showed us, to the Osarian, which was a great honor because not that many people per year are given permission to go there. Once we entered that little chamber that was like almost like a long rectangular with, you know, almost like inside of a cave, it felt like. And we have 100 people stashed in that little elongated portion. And we start the activation. What I personally saw is on one side, coming through the wall, I saw a portal opening, representing the light part of ourselves. And on the other part, I saw the dark aspect coming through. So we were coexisting between the yin and the yang, if you want. And I understood at that point what my Octran father mentioned. He said, your role today is to bring the reconciliation and the reunification of that polarized field. And it's also to bring back the distortion or to clear and unwind any form of distortion within the sacred divine archetypes of the compressing masculine energy, the misuse of willpower over the divine feminine, and to bring it back into balance. So as a result, I remember distinctively being set down, almost like my back against this rocky wall, my head slightly bended because I had this little overhead. But I felt this power coming through me when it was my time to lead the activation after Pragit and Jules started it. And I can feel even to this day how much we brought it to the next octaves. And the message were clear. We were talking to the guards. We were talking to both aspects of these dimensional reality coexisting with us. And it was a clear message throughout the entire grid system in Egypt. And I remember that once it was done, I could feel the pushing of the guard in spite of Mohammed's best efforts. At some point, I felt many eyes coming at me going, okay, are you done? Go out, get out, get out. And then what we did, my Octran group came and sent a blast of love light frequency to them. And I opened my eyes and I said, now we are done. And that was the message I was sending to them. So to help everybody, even the human beings who played those roles of guards and kicking out visitor, no praying, no put your hand in prayers, don't do that. But I know that they play their roles. So I want to honor them. And thank you. It was really, I would say, a powerful place. Abydos was challenging for me because of that duality that is very palpable, even going through the temple, through the city of Abydos and in a temple. But Osarian was a great gift to bring back the sacred harmonization and bring more the true aspect of what the flower of life is about in this unification of life, the geometric pattern of endless circle interweaving into each other to create a next level of creation and evolution. So again, we did a tour de force, like we say in French, in that place because there was a lot of pushback. And we did the work. I always says, okay, now we leave in peace. The work has been done. And that's really what happened. You're on mute, my dear.
Thank you so much, Viviane. That was incredible description to what has happened. Pragit and Julianne, do you have any more to share before we go on about Abydos and Osiris Temple?
I mean, the video showed this story of the resurrection of Osiris on those hieroglyphs. And for me, that was the first time I've seen that described in that way, where his lingam wasn't lost, but rather it was like the key to his resurrection. And that really fascinated me, I remember. So it's cool that we got to show that video explanation. Because I was there in that room when she was explaining that.
Yeah, no, I don't think I have anything else to add to that after Viviane's beautiful description.
Yeah.
Hey. Okay, we're going to go on to the next temple, which is something that we shared in all our promotion. We were going to focus a lot on. We are going to go to the Temple of Isis and really understand the power of the divine feminine that showed up very strongly there. So the Temple of Isis is actually on the island of Philly. So we got to take a boat to the Temple of Isis. It was because of the Osmond Dam, it was moved to the island of Philly, which was a powerful thing that they did. And from the boat, we could see it as we cruised up. And this was part of what the Temple of Isis looked like. Again, huge columns, very beautiful. Lots of space for ceremony, ceremonial chambers, as well as the inner chamber of the Holy of Holies. What was very special is as Viviane was going through this archway, Isis started to come to her. Now, this was unusual for Viviane because she usually talks to her Arcturian family, but Isis wanted to have her word. And so she knocked on Viviane's shoulders and came right through. And that's a picture in the Holy of Holies, where Isis came through very strongly with a message for Viviane. And here is Isis, hail Isis. And so what we got to do is go to the side. And again, this was an unusual thing where we felt really strongly we wanted to meditate together and anchor the power of the divine feminine that was coming through, that everyone was feeling at that time. And so we all went to the side where no one was, which was kind of illegal according to the guards, and we did a meditation. And we're going to show you a little bit of that now.
What happened?
What happened is as we're walking through the different gates, we can see there's different gate of initiation. The last gate at the bottom, I saw a sheer of pure white energy in the form of a woman. It was the divine, pure, divine feminine, and Isis herself in her essence came through and started to communicate. And I saw this ray going into my cardiovascular system. And I said to her, I said, "You're hitting my heart." And she said, "Yes, because your heart has been damaged through the multitude of draconian and reptilian attack that I've sustained all my life." And I said, "Beyond myself, what else?" And she said, "It's the same representation of hitting the heart of everyone, every being in the very heart of Mother Gaia. And all she asked is honor. During as you are in the temple, within yourself, honor the divine and feminine principle that I do represent. And by that doing this, we're restoring the complete unification of the divine prime creator principles of the feminine, returning with the masculine together. And that's what she wants from all of us. So we'll incorporate that in our meditation.
Right.
That's what she wants. She wants us just to honor the divine feminine. But she came as a sheer of pure white light, as a woman. And I saw this beautiful, bright green orb crossing across my screen to let me know that her consciousness was here.
I'm sorry, because I was preparing this moment, but it is corrupted, unfortunately. So we have to delay this to go to when we go to Elephantine Island.
Can we take 1 moment?
1 moment, okay.
Okay. The intention right now, you need to guide this quickly.
Yes, please. The intention Isis gave me herself, I saw her. It's please honor and hold the divine feminine principle of prime creator. We need to bring the anchoring of the divine feminine restored
in this original divine blueprint. That's what she asked of us right here, right now, in your heart. Just feel it, open the field. Imagine your heart center expanding the intelligent field of the deep of your heart with the intention that the divine feminine energy is restored. And bring in the energy through the grids of the ancient site of where the temple was originally, and let's bring it back where it is today in complete alignment without any distortion whatsoever throughout space and time and throughout infinity. We are healing the timeline of history, overlapping into today, in the renewed energetic grids of Mother Gaia, and within ourselves, and for all sentient life forms, including the planet herself. Healing your heart. It is time to heal the old wounds with love and respect. And so it is.
And so
And so it is. We are grateful. We are grateful.
Thank you, Mohammed.
We are grateful. Thank you.
We put you through a lot of stress, don't we?
No group ever did this.
You will remember us.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, bringing back the Stargate and Viviane to share more deeply what happened at the Temple of Isis.
Well, again, that was a moment of great resistance. And we gathered in this place around the side of the temple. And as Mohammed says, no other group does this before. He's never done it before. And there was another tour group wanting to come into that space. And Mohammed courageously stopped them from coming, which created a bit of a problem. There was another doorway where one of the local caretakers was standing, and he could tune in and feel what we were doing. And so he was stopping another group from coming into the space. And the energy that came through in that very brief meditation, I was feeling it again so strongly, just as we heard the recording of it. And so we're really honoring Mohammed for what he did. And a few minutes later, as we started to leave, he got in a big argument, and they said, you can't come back again. They actually wanted to prevent him from coming back with other groups. So he was really supportive.
Very true. And I like what you said about Mohammed, is that he really got in big trouble for this one. And just to give everyone perspective, we were only given 4 minutes to accomplish what we did. And when you listen at the end, this beautiful activation, I was very well aware of the time restraint and the limitation that was going on. So we brought it into a very condensed version of what was requested of us. And so that's why I repeat in the recording, you can hear me say 3 times, we are grateful, to show Mohammed that he was putting himself on the line with this large group behind the temple. We only were granted 4 minutes. Now, in linear time, 4 minutes seems impossible. It's so short for a large group. But once we start the activation, we were transcending that linear time construct. So we were able to accomplish what we were meant to do, even though we were extremely physically limited. So it's just to show you how much we have succeeded in so many ways above and beyond to do what we were supposed to bring and activate it for everyone and the planet herself. It was very unexpected for me to have such a predominance conscious interaction with a soul aspect of who you call Isis. and I still remember it to this day. And I hope that everyone was able to hear what I share. Otherwise, I can repeat as I remember, if that's helpful.
Yes, if you could just recap your
Yes.
experience, would be great.
Of course, with pleasure. So oftentimes the concept of the seventh dimension or the seventh state of consciousness, it's a very important theme in Egypt. So we saw in the temple the 7 carving of those doorways that represent a conscious evolution. So the moment I step into that doorways of consciousness or activation, like I mentioned in the video, is immediately I saw this very beautiful, bright, white sheer in the form of a woman, and I saw this orb of light physically coming at me and going through my heart center and my physical heart to my cardiovascular system. And immediately this consciousness spoke to me and said, well, I am an aspect of what you call Isis, and I'm also the guardian of this place. And I said, you are the representation of the divine archetype of the divine feminine aspect of the supreme source. And she said, yes. And I said, why are you going into my cardiovascular system? And she said, your heart has been damaged by the dark light polarity in this lifetime, by the multitude of attempts they made on you. So my gift to your for your service is to repair your heart. And I could physically feel like being worked on. And I was so honored and in this unexpected gift. And I said, how can we be of service in return? And that's what Isis, or this soul emanation of the divine feminine in the representation of this archetype known as Isis, said, please tell your group, tell everyone to re-honor the divine feminine aspect of themselves to the restoration within their sacred heart center, to bring back the union of the divine feminine with the divine masculine synergy of your divine template, and bring reverence back for all life, including guardians to the earth, to all the resources, the element, the animal kingdom. It's all sentient life. Bring back the honor, the restoration of the divine feminine. And I say, I promise to fulfill your wish. And this is why, in a nutshell, this is what I talk about in the video. And this is why it was so important for all of us to gather as a group and create this powerful activation to fulfill the promise to this soul aspect or emanation of Isis, in spite of the challenge. And even though Mohammed really got in trouble for doing this, we were doing everyone a great service, but especially it was important to fulfill our promise, to fulfill what we come to do. And this is not just at a temple, a one-time deal. It's every day in our life. That's what it really means. It's how we live, how we honoring the divine feminine with the divine masculine, returning that sacred reunification. So that's just to summarize everything.
Viviane, you said that Isis came as like a ray of white light, right?
Yes.
Or like, okay, look at this. Nicole just posted this in the chat. This is a photo she took when she was there in November.
Oh, wow. Yes, I remember.
How cool is that? It's stunningly beautiful, like rainbow light energy. I wanted to say, like, Debra, I'm sure you're about to introduce Michelle Castro, but like I spoke with her and she's on the call tonight. Right after we were at the Temple of Isis, and for me, like we had kind of similar experiences where there was so much energy coming through as like I just stepped foot onto the grounds, like not even close to the Holy of Holies yet. And it was like electric currents of this remembrance for me. And it was just incredibly beautiful and incredibly strong. And so as we're talking about Isis and her energy, I want to acknowledge that there are so many, like especially those of us who are in female bodies right now, who feel this like direct connection to her lineage. And that was what came through with our group of almost like 100, almost all women, is like a lot of people got direct messages from Isis. Debra, do you remember that?
Yes, very much so. And we were primarily 100 women that were there on the grounds. So it was pretty amazing to experience that. And I think there was a lot of remembering and memories coming through for everyone. And the activation of the divine feminine for everyone right now at this time on the planet is so critical that this was one of the most important things that we did and that happened there. So everyone was truly moved and experienced it. And again, a lot of rekindling of memories of those of us that felt like we were in Egypt, you know, in past lives, or however you describe that spiritual lineage, and that our memories are coming back of the honoring of the feminine and the powers and the superpowers that we had coming back at that time. So yes, this was a very high level, important convergence that we all experienced together.
Yeah, I think superpowers is like the right word for it, because sometimes you walk in these temples and there's just like a supercharging. And another thing that can happen that Muhammad was pointing out to us is like you get like the stuff that needs to come up gets cleared, right? These are powerful activating sites. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. Like for me, it was like almost like these currents of like almost orgasmic energy were coming through just as I was walking through it, like toward the Isis temple. So it was really, really beautiful.
Yeah, there were actually, after the meditation, there were many women I noticed that were tearing, really deeply involved emotionally what was happening.
Yeah, I remember that too, Pragit. And if you look at the symbology also where this very powerful divine feminine activation took place in the land for centuries and generation of repressing the disbalance, the miscreation, distortion between the divine feminine and the divine masculine, it was also very deeply healing on a historical level. And this energetic archetype of the divine feminine came to me as this veil of light in the form of a woman, knew exactly what we're going to do was also to restore and heal generation of deep wound that needs to be reconciled so we can finally re-emerge in a new flower of life, the more reunified flower of life, this chalice of all life that we carry within ourselves, within our heart center to the threefold flame. And both archetypes or both aspects have to be present. So this is why for us, when we work with the divine feminine, it is always in conjunction with the divine masculine, because those aspects needs to be restored on the planet and within ourselves. And being in Egypt, connecting also to the Middle East and everything it represented was even more significant. This is why I was so honored that this beautiful presence chose to communicate with me so potently, clearly, and of course, the gift I received. Obviously, I have a lot of work to do, so she goes, "You have to keep going. So let me heal you."
And we are going to. Do you have one more thing to share?
Well, I was just going to say that very powerful meditation and energizing happened on an island with water flowing, the Nile flowing all around. So that energy was like moving out down through the waters as well.
And now we are going to take the divine feminine up another level, because it's my pleasure to present someone that was there on the trip. And she was really significant in terms of being there she is at the Temple of Isis. And I'm talking about Michelle Castro. And what is so amazing with her is she does have a direct connect with Isis that comes through her. I was with her in the Queen's Chamber at the Giza Pyramid when she gave a transmission of Isis that came through. That was amazing. And of course, her experience at the Isis temple, again, was incredible to be with her and share with her. So Michelle, welcome so much to this program.
Thank you. Thank you so
love
much.
to share, to add to our understanding of Isis. And if Isis wants to come through and say something right now, we would be honored.
Sure. There's so much that wants to be shared. And it's through the work with the Stargate that Isis started coming through me. So it's quite an honor and such a full circle to be with all of you. And when Isis first came through me, it was in a Stargate after doing lots of essence of life work with Julianne. I went to a Stargate, and very similar to how Viviane described it, this being who named herself Isis, veiled in light, came to me. And before that, I was hearing these words and being guided to do these things and being guided to do specific trainings, specifically on embodiment and somatics and healing on a very physical, individual level. And also to be revisiting some of my earlier spiritual training in mythology. And what she was describing was that the distortion of the divine feminine needed to be healed in the collective and on an individual basis. So in the Queen, so first we did this experience, this activation, this clearing in the King's Chamber. And I believe one of the other goddess women, maybe Eugenia, was leading an experience in the King's Chamber. And I was deep, and I kept getting these visions of what looked like pink electric lights moving. And I just went with it and just received. And I just heard, don't worry, you'll just receive. And so I did that, and it moved me into this understanding as we were moving into this Queen's Chamber, the activation that occurred, I can only describe it as I've been trained in a lot of nervous system work, and what we learn about healing on a very physical level on our nervous system is that when we experience something that's traumatic or we experience something as a limitation, it's that we hold the charge, and that in order for healing to occur, there needs to be this discharge. And it was like this experience of just within the pyramid, this almost like this giant burp of energy where this discharge occurred from the work. And all of the energy, if you know of a volcano starts bubbling up and starts bubbling over, it kind of creates this mess. And one of the reasons that the divine feminine was so repressed was the fear. And that fear comes because the divine feminine, it represents our physicality. It represents that work of having to kind of go into those darker places sometimes, and to look at some of these distortions and heal them. And while for many eons we've been left alone, the Isis is back. She's here to remind us that even though we've had what has been left as the Madonna, the white, we have the light goddess, we have the light, the Sophia. It's the aspect of the dark goddess that Isis has been holding. And that doesn't mean bad. It means the one that descends with us. So she was showing, as we were going through these different activations together, that this pink electric light, it was actually a culmination that when we did our second activation at the end of the trip, I could see it was a giant cosmic rose, and that her energy was flourishing in this giant cosmic rose that made her available to us, to hold us as we move through some of these distortions. So as we move through the individual pain and suffering and limitations that have been imposed upon us. I can keep talking, or if you want, I can go into, I just want to add, there was a moment that Debra and I shared together at the Isis temple, where she, I had the honor of being with her as I made a reconciliation, because I had a very huge clearing of my own past life. And after we did this little ceremony together and this blessing, she said, this is very different from the last time I was in Egypt. And I remember saying to you, it has to be this way. And what Isis was essentially explaining to me was that here we were bringing all of this divine feminine energy forward. But it was, as Viviane explained, it was with this penetrative force where we had to be quick, we had to be swift, we had to be very direct. And so it had to be in union with that divine masculine energy. And it was one after the other, after the other. I mean, this was 10 days of very unique and distinct, bringing forward these healings, bringing forward this divine feminine love, but with this very penetrative force that is our divine masculine side. And so it was in that union of the feminine and masculine that we were able to bring forward these activations. So
Beautiful, Michelle.
I could bring forward more. I could bring in Isis. I don't know if I
Yes, bring in Isis.
Okay, sure. This is such an honor, and it's not something I get to do a lot with such highly respected people. So dearest ones, I am with you. And as these words come through this one's mouth, you might experience an inkling or a tingling of remembrance of a time when our union was so significant to you that everything you did was rooted in your connection with the Divine Mother. And I know, dearest, that the distortions and the traumas that have occurred in your timeline has, you can say, blurred our connection. And it doesn't matter how you worship me. For I am the goddess. I am the mother with 10,000 names or more. And this temple that is housed as your physicality is the one that you can first and foremost begin to honor what you call this reunion of divine feminine and masculine forces by learning to come into a state of presence being able to hold yourself, being able to connect with the love and presence of the mother. Dearest, I see you. I see all of you. Every mistake, every bit of doubt or courage or shining thing, every act that you make, whether you call it right or wrong, or judge yourself about it, I am there with you. Because the moment that you acknowledge that you are in the arms of the mother, you can begin to make space for more of what this blessed beloved one, Viviane, is talking about. Allow me again to hold you. Allow yourselves, your body, to be reawakened so that you can align to hold more of this divine light. And I cannot do it for you, dearests, but I can hold you and I can lead you through it. This cosmic rose energy that was indeed activated and made more available for all of you is accessible to all humans now. There is no turning back anymore. The reconciliation starts with you honoring, being very honest with your own self, sitting with what you call the shadows. There is much to say about this, and perhaps we can save it for another time. Yet know I am with you. Know that all the work that has been done here during this sacred journey that has been taken has ensured that the love and the reunion of Isis and Osiris will hail again in the hearts of all of humanity. I sing in the womb and the phallus of each and every one of you. I radiate in the hearts. I come as a song that can roll off your breath if you are willing to be open. Let us walk together again. Let us all be one. I am with you always, and I will talk with you again. Thank you. I can't hear you. I think you're muted.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
You're welcome. Thank you. Such an honor.
Beautiful. To bring Stargate and Viviane back to join Michelle.
Please.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It was such a pleasure to go back. You brought me back to the place of the temple and with the presence of all of us. I can feel a very important uplifting. What a gift you brought all of us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. What a gift you've brought in all of us, all of you.
That was a transmission, Michelle. Like after you ended, my crown and my third eye were like Isis wings.
Thank you.
I could feel that energy as soon as you started talking. It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Michelle, do you remember talking about walking in the Isis temple with me?
Yes, I do.
That was so beautiful. And like what I want to share that I didn't share earlier because it's like a little embarrassing. It's like as as I was feeling like this, it's like a remembrance of initiation from the past. And it's as if like my energy field is remembering this like ecstatic union energy. And it's just like it's getting stronger and stronger and almost like too much to bear in my field as I'm just walking. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And I look over and I see this one man who's on the tour with us, and I get such clear guidance. You have to go hold his hand. Like, go hold his hand. And I was like, I mean, like that's a bit much, but I was just like, okay, I'm gonna follow it because like I'm friends with him, right? It's not like a total random stranger. He's on our tour group. I'm friends with this person, so I go and I hold his hand, and it's as if like all of that lightning becomes like anchored through him into the earth like a discharge, and he started crying. And it was just like this beautiful moment of remembrance, because this is like the male female polarity is there are secrets and mysteries to our physicality that have yet to be re-remembered and unlocked. And these were just one facet of what Isis was bringing and teaching in ancient Egypt.
Absolutely. And when we were doing that 4-minute meditation where Viviane was leading us on that side, I remember it was as if like Osiris, like I was looking at it and it was just like Osiris was just like beaming and beaming and beaming and radiating light, radiating light, radiating. And it was this sense or this like frequency of like trust again. And there was these continual moments. I actually had an experience with that, our same friend. And after I think we decided, we're like, wow, we must have had past lives together.
Yes.
But there was this again reconciliation that occurred, and then after that, from then on, it was just like demonstration after demonstration of like repair with the masculine. We're like, wow, like not only do I feel honored, but I feel so supported. I feel so connected, and yeah, I have a grounding rod for some of this energy maybe to flow. And, you know, Isis has said these secrets are going to be open to us little by little as we clear out, you know, some of our own limitations. Then we can hold space for more to come through. And I know in my sessions that I've been doing with women, just incredible things are starting to happen for them. So it's exciting what's on our horizons.
Yeah, it really is.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michelle. That was just perfect and awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. You're such sacred beings. I'm so honored. And gosh, and Prageet, I can't even say enough about this man that I heard speaking on the radio, and I thought, who is this weird? What is this weird Stargate thing? And it was, and then as I was doing this work, I would hear these voice and see these beings laughing. And I'm like, what are they, Hathors? And talk about, you know, and he would say, you bring in Alcazar and you don't need to go to school and you don't need this training. And this is something's going to come through. And I would push away and resist. And then all of a sudden I started bringing through Isis. And what I realized when we didn't visit in this little journey, the Temple of Dendara, but when I got to the Temple of Dendara, those little beings that I kept visualizing were the Hathors, laughing at me, telling me that I would be bringing this through. And to bring it all back together, it was through working with the energies of the Stargate that I was able to connect to this. and of course, the divine masculine support. So thank you.
Oh,
Mm.
thank
Speak-
you. Oh.
Hmm.
Hey, we're going to visit one more temple. And this was the last temple of our journey. Also very significant. It's Saqqara, where the step pyramids of Dozier was. And in Saqqara, there was a lot of burial grounds in there. Also, there was tombs that we went into that were incredible. Here we are walking down to the tombs. It was about 100 degrees that day. And there's always interesting characters to meet on the way. And there's the entrance to the tombs that we went into. There was huge tombs underground. And this is where we got to dance with the orbs. So here a picture of the underground caverns in these sarcophagi that were many tons heavy. And again, this was an incredible phenomenon. They have no idea how these sarcophagi could get underground in these tombs. They still don't know how this happened because the granite that created all this was like 200 miles away. So again, additional phenomenon of higher technology that needed to be utilized. And when we were there was a lot of us that were capturing orbs. They were all around the tombs. So a lot of people have them on their cameras, on their videos, and we're going to be able to show you examples of the orbs in the next video.
As the cameras rolled in this extraordinary location, a peculiar phenomenon unfolded before our eyes. While capturing the essence of this special place, orbs or energy inexplicably appeared on the screen of a camera phone, and what made this occurrence particularly intriguing was the absence of any visible dust in the surroundings. The unexplained presence of these orbs added an unexpected layer of mystery. In the absence of a rational explanation, we found ourselves contemplating the possibility that perhaps the ancient energies of the site were manifesting in a visible way. The secrets of this special place linger, making us ponder the deep link between the heavenly and the everyday.
Great, and there's one more video we're going to show that is actually where I was captured with orbs all around me as well. It was a very special place.
This is a very hard challenge. Okay? What? With some? Yes. Why there is like
Great. And also, Viviane also had a real incredible experience of going into light language in the tombs as well. So we'll want her to share about that. But Pragit, Julianne, Viviane, would you like to share about the tombs in Saqqara?
Well, again, it was just an incredible experience. And just feeling that the strangeness of that place and some of the different energies, because I was also feeling some of the heavier energies there as well. And it was not a pleasant feeling to me.
It was also interesting, Viviane, I know you have a lot to say about this. Mohammed showed us as we were leaving, there's like almost as if there was a production line of these giant tomb things, and there were a few that were left unfinished, as if whoever was creating those had to leave in a hurry. So it's sort of an intriguing side note.
Yes, good observation, both of you, in a sense that Saqqara, it's a beautiful example of a paradox that coexists in one place, because first, the pyramid of Saqqara, which also represent 7-dimensional level of state of consciousness or dimensional evolution and Stargate and all of it, is very clearly depicted to the pyramid, when personally I had a stronger connection with the Saqqara pyramid than even with the Giza one, because I could feel, and the light language just came out of me, and I start to really bring very specific encoding of the light language that I was communicating back and forth with the pyramid itself, and each level became an oscillation or a magnification of that interaction through light language. But like what Debra mentioned in terms going into underground, I was unable to move beyond a certain point. My team went and says, we want you to leave this place at once, because I could see the original usage for these, container that was very thick, very heavy, very much aligning. If you look at the symmetry, they were in almost like in a very juxtaposition alignment with each other, and it was like in like a diagonal energies. There was a diagonal, and when you walk through the corridor, you were like in that X of that energy. You were caught right in that beam, and I start to get memory and very clear vision of what they're used for. Back then, the thing is that, remember that on the planet for eons, the dark and the light have been coexisting. And so it was utilize life force energy of being of all kind to put in these chamber and bring the feeling up to, from underground up to, on to the grids and up to the surface. And personally, I experienced a very distinct disruption in my sacral. So it was really activating the ball movement in my sacral, was being like almost like crushed, or allow me to rephrase that, was very compressed significantly. And so there was like this wall when my group came in, they said, no, you shall not go further, and you must leave at once. And I feel like I can feel this energy. And I told Peter, I said, I must leave at once. The contraction is unbearable. And he goes, yeah, I'm with you. So he brought me by the arms and took me back to the surface. And as I was leaving this place, returning into the surface, I want to reconnect with the pyramid, because this is where my energy was restored. So we have to be mindful that this chamber are not necessarily all positive, that you have to remember back in the den. We talk about resurrection, utilizing life force transmissions, the pineal gland, the life force energy of the body, and all of it. But it was used also for different purpose that we don't need to go into the details. But that particular underground facility, for me, was like a big no-no. However, nothing is in vain. Everything has a purpose. And it was an opportunity to ask. I did a decree. I asked at a higher level for a direct intervention to come and neutralize the place from residuals or any form of activity that may still exist to this day. And I did ask for this old place to be completely neutralized and reactivated. And this is how I experienced it. So again, as an intergalactic being, walking in this form and saying my overload, my sensory overload. So no wonders that there was also so much presence of the light to the orbs. There was a lot of essence and residuals of those who've been utilized for the life force. So there was a counterpart of the light as well. And also the word that I'm getting right now, it's a liberation of all of this stored energy, so they can be returned to the light and into higher octaves of transmutation. So again, everything serves a purpose. But once that was put in motion, I exited very quickly. I didn't go all the way, and I went back to the surface. And this is where once we walk back towards the pyramid, this is where the light language really came, because the consciousness of the pyramid of Saqqara start to communicate with me in light language, in ancient language. So I was responding back and forth But again, we were interrupted. And this time it's Mohammed's wife who came rushing, says, stop, stop. You're not allowed to do this, because my hands were moving in weird ways in the air. And it was offensive to those who were guardians of the site. So I put my hands in my pocket. I turned around and I said, yes, we live in peace. There's nothing to see. My hands are back in my pocket, but it was already done. The work was already done. That's the beauty of it. So I like to bring a bit of sparkle of humor, if that's funny at all, but I think it is.
Wow. Yeah, we were both with you, Viviane, when in that moment outside of the Saqqara step pyramid.
Yeah.
When that transmission came through. And it's wild because it really, we were there for like 2 or 3 minutes before they wanted to shut it down.
Yeah.
And okay. So it's very interesting. Saqqara actually means sacred, which is just a beautiful thing to share. And it's interesting what you just said about all of those orbs. Can you say that again, of like they're like what they are or were?
Well, we will gladly bring our interpretation, but I will also would like to know Debra's own personal experience with the orbs, or your own. But to us, when we look at all the multitude of orbs that was flying off around Debra and other people caught on camera, first, you see that many so clearly through a 3D device, that's because they want you to know they're there. Remember, it's a conscious communication. It's a form of communication. Second, if you look at the quality or the higher purpose of this place where we were on the ground with these really massive, like devices that opened in a certain way and be positioned in a very sequential manner to transmute energy to each other and amplify almost like an X-ray energy. So these orbs, to us, we understood that there was a lot of residuals of energies from other beings that was still a little bit trapped in a time loop. And we were also helping them to release them, in addition to make communication with us. And the orbs were more of an endeavor of the light. You can tell it's an essence of a multitude of residual of energies, presence, synergy. And so what we did is we asked to a decree of light, to the councils of light, a decree. I ask for the release of all of these essence of light, so they can move on and be transmuted into the next octave.
Beautiful. Yes, I assume there were beings that were present with us. And what was so amazing that everyone was seeing them and experiencing them and capturing on their photos, because a lot of times they only show up for certain people and certain cameras, but everyone was experiencing them. So I don't know if it was just our group or other people that go down there experience all that, but a lot of us experienced them and saw them. It was really amazing. Yeah, so we're getting to the close of the hour, and what was true about the Egypt trip is that it wasn't an ending for a lot of people. It was another continuation into Greece, because the tour continued to Greece, where 1,000 people of the Stargate community went to the island of Greece and had another 4 or 5 days of connection. So the energy of the Egypt trip continued. So we have a video to show, and I'd love for you to share some of the highlights of what that was all about. We'll share the video first. Hey, maybe the video is not going to
It's queued up. There we go. I think this time it's going to play. Sometimes it's a little ornery. Huh. Come on. Well, it is queued up. And for some reason it's not playing. Perhaps you guys might want to talk about it first then, and I'll see if I can get it to play. It starts for a second and then it stops. So I'm going to try closing it and reopening.
Yeah, so basically, Alcazar had said that he wanted to create at least 1,000 people in Greece. So we called together the community and invited Viviane to bring her whole incredible connection. And we built the energy up over a week. And the last day, I think it was, or the day before, we all intentionally brought an energy together. We invited all the numerous guides of support to amplify our energy and to create a field, which we then literally blasted out around the world with the intention of changing the timeline of humanity, to uplift the earth and humanity. And it was a very beautiful, very strong experience. We were...
And it did work for me to stop and start it, so I can play the video now. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for sharing.
Are you ready?
All the guides, bring your energy into our physicality right now. Allow us to be a vessel for the highest potential outcomes, the highest energy for humanity as a whole, for oneness here on this earth. For abundance, for love,
and more.
For freedom.
Feeling your superconscious, bringing energy to you, opening your physicality to receive the energy from all these guides, asking for more, each one of you asking for more, and allowing these energies to start to flow into you, and consciously now radiating this energy out around the world, around the morphic field of humanity. And as you radiate it out, asking for more, asking for a stronger energy in this space, asking for more to flow through you, radiating it out, and more. Each one of you asking for more from the guides to flow through you, asking on behalf of humanity, and more, radiating it out, feeling these waves of love moving around and around the planet, touching the hearts and the energies of millions.
When we're working on something like the 5 aspects of the new human, of love, inner peace, joy, happiness, gratitude, and oneness, you can use these techniques to bring that energy into your body.
On behalf of an entire civilization known as the Arcturians, for millions of years we have been of service to the Prime Creator as the masters, guardians, sacred healers, and much more. It is our privilege to be in your presence. Walk in the certainty of your light. Always believe in who you are. Knowing the true path of your enlightenment is right encoded into you. It is within the very fabric of your being. There is no need to search any longer, for you have found yourself, and you have found an entire intergalactic, interstellar communities who are with you, for you are us and we are you. We wish to thank you so much for receiving us so well tonight and every day on our journey. It has been our privilege to be in the presence of other masters, many teachers, guides, channels, intergalactic linguists, the presence of the masters, our beloved Sananda, Sanat Kumara, Lady Nada of the Rose Ray, and so many others. Always, always walk in the certainty of your light. For the fear energy, it is impossible to coexist with the light. We're sending you our love. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Mm.
And that was a really beautiful moment that was just shown, that Viviane was spontaneously given a standing ovation by the 1,000 people who were there for her evening. It was really deeply moving. Oh, Viviane, you're muted.
It is absolutely forever in my memory, in my deep gratitude field, because it was so unexpected. See, for years I do this work, and oftentimes either go under the blanket or it goes off planet, and I continue. And to have 1,000 people suddenly standing up on their feet, feeling the calling of let's stand up and recognize what just took place or what's been taking place, is the accumulation points of over 12 years of very active public work. And it was unexpected, a great gift, an immense gift. And I remember one thing that really also touched my heart is when I saw Pragit and you, Jules, coming on stage and really supporting that moment. And I felt that at that moment and point in time, we all came in oneness, and that included everybody. So yeah, I will always remember that. It's just, thank you so much.
Yeah, and Chris is saying in the chat that was one of the most amazing standing ovations I've seen. Yeah, there was such an energy behind it. It was so beautiful. And Eleanor said it was a deep and profound and joyous moment.
It really was, like the whole experience of being together and having that incredible support from beyond the physical was totally amazing. And when we did that buildup of energy, which created that wave going out, as we were guiding it, Viviane was standing in the Stargate, which is amplifying and transmitting all those energies. So it was, I'm getting goosebumps again, just remembering it.
Yeah, it was very interesting because to me, that experience in Cause, being in person with over 1,000 people, which is by about half the biggest thing that we've ever done with the Stargate in person so far, it really demonstrated that there is a power to our collective intention. And especially when we get together and come together with such a strength of focus, which is what you were seeing in that video at the beginning, where there was like this like movement of the energy. That was like the culmination of the 4 days of energy work with 1,000 people. And we were bringing this intention to shift into a higher timeline for humanity. And we were bringing that intention with all of our hearts, because this is we've been going through the birth canal of a shedding of an old civilization, like yet to see like really the birth of the new. And so that takes an enormous trust. So to me, what was and is intriguing is the amount of change that's happened in people's lives, including our own, Brigitte, since Cause, which was in October of 2023.
Yeah, we've had an incredible acceleration in our lives, and so many people that were there have given us that same feedback. Things are happening much faster than they were before. And so it's hard to tell from our perspective. Maybe Viviane has a different one, but from our human perspective, we go in trust. You know, we trust the guidance. We trust what Alcazar says. We trust in the potential that he talks about. And we've been doing that for, well, since '89. And Viviane said at some point, well, now the next step is Uluru. And we're arranging a trip to Uluru so that we can continue those activations. And so that's going to be happening in October this year. We're trying to bring it all together.
Uluru is truly the next phase after what we have accomplished. And I do say we, it's a collective effort. After what we have accomplished, Uluru is really the next stage. And the gathering in Greece, just to bring it back just for a moment there, was also another huge catalyst of movement, which also means that the old ways, the old purging will come to the surface. We see that in Greece right now. Greece is purging fiercely right now. In other places in the world, that's because there's a magnify of toxicity that's come to the surface to be replaced with new light template, new light presence. And so that gathering in Greece following Egypt was also a way to anchor, integrate, and bring the next level of catalyst movement, purging, acceleration. So this year, which is a different timeline, it's the beginning of a triple gateway. So Uluru is the next phase, and I can tell there's a lot of guardians and elders and beings of light and aboriginal tribes who coexist in the etheric field, who are already aware of our presence, because it's already exists in the quantum field. We're simply going to materialize this physically in this reality in what we call the time frame of October. But it really is the next huge task. And we were very much looking forward to it. And once again, it will be all together as it needs to be to come to full circle and to really bring the significance of the changes of the timeline we're going to establishing ourselves in the timeline that we want to evolve in, basically. Just to simplify it, but it's going to be much more. But yes, Uluru, here we are, here we're coming.
And for those of you who might not know, Uluru is a giant rock in the middle of Australia that, Viviane, you have said is actually one of the most important portals for the planet.
Yeah.
It really is. It's in Australia, as you mentioned. It's also very strategic in the timeline. It's been there for millions of years. And it's this giant rock, actually. It's a very, very ancient portal put in place by the original High Council of the Ancient Ones, known as the very advanced Pleiadians. And we're going to be bringing that activation there. It has been waiting for a very long time, so it can be brought back in a certain frequency field and a very resonance field. But we have reached that point now on the planet, and it will be even more in October, even though we may still feel some contractive energies. We have to be expecting of that. But at the same time, you have to think about that we are already preparing the next timeline, which will be 2025 at that point. And so it's a very instrumental what we're about to do in Uluru, Australia.
maybe that's why there's so much resistance to us actually bringing it all together. I've never created something with so much resistance to it happening.
Yeah, and Pragit and I actually have been like wondering, like, why does it feel this way? Should we go? Should we not go? And then we talked to Alcazar through Pragit, and Alcazar said essentially that we must go, and that what we are going to do there is going to create an upliftment for the entire planet. And after that, I was like, okay, like we'll just, whatever it is that's heavy, like we're gonna just go because it's the next thing to, I think, Viviane, did you describe it like, I don't know if I'm making this up. Did you say that it's a bit like a bathtub plug that needs to be like pulled so that like things can go? Maybe that's a Lee Carroll and Monica thing. They say that about the nodes and the nulls and how they work together to like clear planetary energy. But it's just this feeling of like a profound change.
Well, thank you for this most fascinating image, and I think it's exactly a good way to put it, like a giant plug being unplugged from the matrix. But yes, in essence, it can be described as such. But we'll discover more. We will be given much more instructions as we get closer, because the changes on the planet will be much more palpable even at the time that it is right now. But it's definitely very important. So if there's resistance, just tell the dark light polarity, it is time to reunify with the light, and then we can transmute that and accomplish what needs to be done. Yeah. So thank you. I like the way your mind works, Jules. Love it.
Well, this has
Thanks.
been an amazing show again, and so great to hear that it's going to continue. The saga continues. So beautiful to hear. And that's exactly how Egypt began, is with all of you knowing that you needed to go to Egypt and prepare this trip. So this is the seedling of what's going to happen next year. So I'd love to end with a meditation and activation so we could end properly. And I want to give a few acknowledgements before we do that. I want to acknowledge the beautiful 100 people that went with us on this tour, mostly women, but also a few incredible men, because they were all so important to this journey. I want to acknowledge Portal to Ascension, Neil Gard, Joan Hangarter, and Ellen Steinfeld. They helped us as guides of the trip as well. I want to know you can access my Ascension Tips, which is a blueprint to your Ascension journey. It's a free book that you can download and have a clear picture, very simple, of what's happening with the Ascension now. And we're going to give you all these links in an email that's going to come after to all of you that signed up. I also have a program with Meg Benedicte about the Ascension Tips called Ascension Revealed at ascensionrevealed.com. And I have Wishing Well Portal, which is my newsletter, Harmony Connects, Debra Recommends, Transformation into the Paradigm, that I will share with you at my wishingwellportal.com. Also the Ascension Now channel, where this is broadcasting, as well as many other things about Ascension Now channel on YouTube. And you can get the whole video of our trip in Egypt at the Stargate website, Stargate Live/Egypt Tour. If you want to review everything that happened in Egypt, you can still get that. And of course, the Stargate has so many programs. Again, we'll give you links in the email, but Stargate.live welcome will give you an overview of all the programs, all the retreats, all the experiences. It's been one of my spiritual tools for 15 years now, so I highly recommend it. And you can also get the new timeline, Surfing the Waves of the New Timeline, which was birthed through the Egypt trip. And it's a series that you can tune into, stargate.live/surfing. And of course, Viviane has a whole online community with all kinds of information and classes and courses and activations on her website. And again, we'll give it to you, but it's infinitehealingfromthestars.com, infinitehealingfromthestars.com. And if you want to go to Egypt, our beloved sister Anastara and Ascension University is going to take people to Egypt. You can scan right there to get information. And again, we'll give it to you. But what's so special about her tour is she is going to be there on the 1111 portal. And it's so amazing to go to the sacred sites at specific portals. So you are going to be there in Egypt, Giza Pyramid, 1111 portal, and it will be a luxurious 2-week trip. 1111unified.com/Egypt. And again, you will see the link in the email that we'll send to you. And now we'd like to go into the activation that we will all co-lead together. And enjoying. Would you like to start, Pragit, and then Julianne, and have Viviane come in?
Okay, so just invite everyone just to close your eyes for a moment and just connect to the hundreds of people all tuning into this moment of now. Can you feel already an energy building up as we intentionally connect? Let's also invite Isis, which we've had a beautiful energy coming through. Just invite that energy to join us as well. And now we invite the energetics of the earth, the energy of Gaia, the mother, Terra, inviting her energy also to come up into our bodies, into our energy field, to help us feel really present in our bodies.
So everyone who's listening, if you actually just silently ask inside for the energy of the earth to come up into your body, into your energy field, you might have an experience. This is how we work with the Stargate. So just the invitation, connecting to the earth, the intention, connecting to the energy of Gaia.
And now we're going to ask each one of you just to allow for the possibility that if you invite the consciousness of the Stargate, it will actually respond to your asking. So just asking inside for the presence and support of the consciousness of the Stargate.
And so we're calling for the consciousness of the Stargate, an etheric Stargate, to come and form around us.
And again, just allowing for the possibility. There's nothing to do, just relaxing and just to feel. For now, we're going to ask the Stargate to start to create for each one of us a raising of the vibration, surrounding us with higher and higher frequencies, vibrating us faster and faster, very gently uplifting our energy field. And just if we can hold the intention of allowing our energies to be gently elevated, just allowing, relaxing, and perhaps you can just feel these gentle energies coming to you. And so we're going to ask these frequencies to resonate now at the frequency range of the 12th dimension. So just asking for the 12th dimensional energies to hold you, embrace you, and support you.
So we call for a strong 12th dimensional energy field in our etheric stargates, in all of the stargates around the world. Just inviting a 12th dimensional energy field to vibrate you.
Very good. And in this space, we invite you to call one of your guides or a being that you're connected to, be it the angelic realm or the ascended masters. Who do you wish to invite into this meditation, calling them forth?
And so we're calling for the presence of our guides. You
Just
can call.
invite them to come closer. And so now we would like to invite Viviane and her incredible entourage to continue this meditation.
And as you keep connecting with your guides, to feel the aspect of the 12th dimension activating gently within you the 12 points of your own chakra system to bring a unified field between the universal and the earth aspect of your chakra system. So we invite you to keep breathing and welcoming in your field this beautiful activation, remembering that you are receiving exactly what serves you the most. The goal is to bring back unification and releasing any form of distortion, whether it is through the experience of fear, stress, anxiety, or any other form of mental and emotional limitations. So imagine and feel within yourself being restored, refreshed, balanced, as your 12 points of your chakra system are now restored in complete alignment. And now to your heart center, we invite you to feel and see and welcome with open arms the divine archetypes of the divine feminine and the divine masculine energy of Prime Creator, restored within you, within the sacred chalice of your heart, in your being, in your entire body, in all dimensions of your life. Today we bring together the unification of our hearts, the restoration of our light, and we come together as a sacred community of light in the presence of the higher dimensional realms, the Ascended Masters, the Master Teachers, and the enlightened intergalactic civilizations, your star brothers and sisters, alongside with the Mother Gaia consciousness, in all the presence of the star seed on the planet. It is time for all of you to remember deeply your original point, your cosmic, divine, multidimensional nature. It is time for all of you to regain your sovereignty, your freedom, and to reascend back again into a higher state of living and sacred embodiment. And for now, we invite you to see and feel that you are bringing from the 12-dimensional aspect all of your energy and consciousness back to your physical form, reintegrating in full consciousness back in your body, your reality, your space, to feel refreshed and yet grounded in loving presence, and to feel the strength, this light, this radiance in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, fully return now, integrated. Let's take a deep breath in and release. Allow yourself to be fully returned in 3, 2, and 1. Return, return, return. Welcome back, everyone.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. The whole show was amazing, as always, especially when you three get together. And Michelle, you were great as well. Thank you so much for that very important transmission that you gave us. I'm going to put some contact info in the chat that you can go of what I talked about. including the links to Stargate and Viviane, and signing up for the Awakening World, which this program is on now. This is a special edition of the Awakening World. So
thank you so much, Debra, for all of your work, dedication, and tireless ongoing work that you do for all of us. It was an impeccable presentation, and we appreciate the mastermind energy behind it. Thank you.
And thank you, Debra, so much for all the love I know you put into the curation of those videos. The footage really, it speaks volumes, what you were able to share. Thank you.
Yeah, it's brought back beautiful memories.
Mm.
And it's been really wonderful just sharing this with your audience. It's been a great delight, and thank you again for the incredible energies you put into this.
Love you all. Love what you do. Love what we all do together. Now we'll bring Scott back.
All right.
Did you
Well,
want
thank you.
to share, Michelle?
I just wanted to say thank you because you have really been holding this light as a teacher and a guide for the divine feminine. And you kind of stand with a flame guiding everyone. And so I just want to honor you for who you are and what you bring to this world.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we just have to add the divine masculine that Scott carries.
Yeah.
Yes.
Welcome,
Thank you,
Scott.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. And for those of you who are not part of the Global Peace Tribe yet, please come join us. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, globalpeacetribe.com, and you can learn all about the different shows that we do. We do 2 or 3 shows every week, always something on Wednesday night and Saturday night, and then special events. And then click register for the new season, and that'll take you to our registration page. And join us. It's a wonderful group. All of our shows are dynamic. All the people you've seen tonight are wonderful examples of our regular presenters. We have amazing people and wonderful co-hosts like Debra Giusti and many other people. So this is a couple of the shows we did last week. We did a show all about embracing self-love. And then we came live from the Soul Search Enlightenment Expo, and that was really a lot of fun. We also going to be doing another show with Marianne Williamson soon, and we always have great things planned. So join the Global Peace Tribe. Also want to let people know this Saturday night, we're going to be coming to you live from the Haven in Ashland. A lot of the Twin Ray community are part of the Global Peace Tribe. And so there's going to be wonderful music and a very special presentation from the Twin Ray, who are 2 of our favorite teachers as well. So definitely come join the Global Peace Tribe. And thank you again, all of you, for your commitment to creating an awakening world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
I think it's been a pretty complete show. So, Debra, I think, we're at 2.5 hours. So we're going to complete with this. I'm going to go to gallery view one more time just so we can see everybody. So people turn on your cameras and we can see some of the beautiful folks with us. The wild monk from the Mystic Monastery, Jerry Anderson there waving at us, and so many of our regulars from all of our communities. How exciting to have the Global Peace Tribe, the Stargate Experience community, Viviane's community. And it's really, really quite special to have everybody with us. So thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight. And we will look forward to hopefully seeing you on Saturday night. And of course, the recording will be provided to everybody who is registered. Any last words, Debra?
Thank you, Scott, for all that you do and holding the Global Peace Tribe together and tirelessly, show after show with so much passion, bringing beautiful people here and for hosting this.
My pleasure. Take care, everybody. Have a beautiful evening, and we'll see you soon. Good night.